This is Interesting Humans Podcast. My name is Jeff Hopek, your host, where we go past the highlight reel and into the moments that actually shape a life. The struggles, the mistakes, the pivots, because the real lessons aren't found in success. They're found in everything you took to get there. Hey everyone, Jeff Hopek here, host of Interesting Humans Podcast. Before we jump into today's episode, I want to give you a little context. This conversation originally aired on another podcast I owned called 20 Minute MBA, where I sat down with business leaders and entrepreneurs and asked them the same 4 questions to uncover the lessons behind their success. As I've continued to build Interesting Humans Podcast, I've decided to bring some of those powerful conversations over here, because at the end of the day, great stories and great people belong in one place. Today's guest is Chris Schueler, CEO of Cybersecurity, who you may also recognize from episode 23 of Interesting Humans Podcast. In this conversation, you'll hear his journey, the mindset that shaped his leadership, and some hard-earned lessons around trusting your gut and taking risks. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, folks, welcome back to another episode here of the Interesting Humans. And today I've got with me Chris Schueler. Chris is just, he's going to tee up and deliver an incredible message today. There's so much hope in this story. And I do want to start off, Chris, by saying thanks. First off, I really appreciate this. The audience is going to just get so much value out of this show. And I want to start off by saying how I know Chris. So Chris and I met in around 2010. My wife, who's a 4th degree black belt, had the great privilege of instructing two or all my daughters, all of your daughters in Taido karate, and then from there, sort of the rest was history. We became friends. I had brought a bunch of people to your office that some you hired, some used as contractors, and we just built a really good relationship. So again, I do want to say thanks, Chris. Awesome. And I think what the audience, is really going to get out of today, they're going to get incredible stories. Mm-hmm. They're going to get awesome hope and encouragement. Yeah. But I want to say these 3 things. They're going to really extrapolate discipline, attitude, and humility. Mm-hmm. Okay, in that order. And I like to say it like this: if you're floating down the river in a kayak and you're going back and forth, and you got discipline on one side and you've got attitude on the other side, but you want to get the kayak to level out. Some people go like, just turn this one up, or just turn this one up. But here's what's interesting about you: out of all these accomplishments, and you are decorated, you take that brick to lay in the back of the boat, the back of the kayak, to level it out. That brick for you is humility. And that's why you're here. Okay. Yeah. That's why you're here. Thank you. Your accomplishments, you started off with a decorated career in the Army, and then you worked as a civilian in the Pentagon, which we're going to get into some of those stories. Yeah. And you were doing cyber before cyber was cyber. Yeah. Like we weren't even talking about that. Right? And then, you're a father and such a proud father. You wear that hat. I mean,
every day,
which is just so cool. Makes me emotional. But you are so into that role. But what's just off the charts is a text that you got not long ago that said, from Robert Herjavec on Shark Tank, "Chris, you're my guy." Tell me about that.
Yeah, kind of surreal. Someone told me when I was young in my career, and other people have used it as well, right? But I like to think a lot of times, you don't necessarily, wish for luck or get lucky. I think it's like you got to put yourself in a position to attract luck. But my whole career has been in cyber. 20 plus years outside of my military days. Yeah. But I'm a CEO today, currently, of a large cybersecurity, but focused on identity. And I got a message out of the blue, like, "Hey, we're interested in you in something else, but we can't tell you what it is." And there was an NDA and this, and rightfully, because they didn't want it to actually get out there until they figured out what is the plan. Right. And this current CEO founder absolute legend, Titan, was on board with, this is the guy who I'm going to hand over this Ferrari to,
Oh my gosh.
So it's kind of surreal. Like it really hasn't hit me, which is, I guess, like that 10-pound weight.
Yeah.
Because in some ways, like, I'm scared to death.
Yeah.
Right. In other ways, like, I couldn't be more excited because I feel like, as an athlete, like, I've trained for this day.
Yeah.
Like, I've put the work in, the muscle memory's there, my body's in perfect condition, my mind's in perfect condition. Like, so there's this balance kind of in that same kayak experience. I'm like, let's go. And like, what am I doing right at the same time? But yeah, in just a couple of days, I take over as CEO of Cyberis, which is a cybersecurity, but it's a cyber detection and response, and it's all they do. That's all they do for the largest brands in the world.
Yeah.
So it's a really super exciting, but at the same time, crazy nerve-wracking for what's to come.
Gosh, that's incredible.
Yeah.
All right, so I like to say this on the show. You were not born the CEO of Cyberis.
Right.
So all these things happen to you in life. So let's get to know who you are. Let's go all the way back. Tell me about like your siblings and what did life look like growing up?
It's crazy. I think this is where probably the humility comes from, right?
Yeah.
Because like where I grew up, probably an hour plus outside of Chicago, small town, no one leaves a small town. Nobody, right? Like if you left a small town, you're a big deal.
Yeah.
And I was the youngest of three boys, not the crazy athlete of all of them, or at least not portrayed to be, not the smartest of all of them. Obviously gapped by 5 and 6 years from them.
Sure.
So I literally was the baby of three big boys, right? Like my brothers are significantly larger than me.
Oh, in size.
In size.
Oh, wow.
6'4", 250, massive humans, right? But I look back at those days and like the tenacity and the grit that it built in me is what I lean on today, and in some ways, really what it built in me is this performance-based mentality. Because the best way, and I love my father to death. I mean, he texted me a picture this morning at 77 in the gym, right?
No way.
Pop's getting after it. But like for me, it was always, how do I make my dad proud, right? How do I get those moments where my dad's like, I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
And I was always living in the shadow of two monsters of brothers, right? That were always getting the trophies and the accolades and the attention, and everybody knew them in town. So there was always this like living in the shadow of two giants, right? And I knew I was very different than both of them, just to like where my attention was at and how I put my focus in. But it really kind of just created this, this grit inside of me, and this performance-driven mentality that I look back, so many years later, and I can see these moments now where I'm like, oh, that defined who I am today, and that taught me like when things go bad, learn from them, get better from them, and then re-rack, reboot, and then re-engage.
That's incredible.
And now I'm like in this cycle now where like I look back and I'm like, and then with the crazy part is. And we'll get into it, but I was the first one to ever leave our town from our family, ever, from our whole. My father had been there for decades, and I left, and it was almost like I was in some ways like forgotten in some ways. My one brother lived less than a mile away from my parents.
Yeah.
The other brother lived a couple miles away.
Yeah.
My parents were integrated within their ecosystems, watching their kids and all that.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm here like in Georgia, right? Like. Hours away, almost forgotten in some way.
Right.
And that, that to me is, I look back and now all my brothers and my parents don't live in Illinois anymore.
Incredible.
They've all moved away.
Yeah. What did your parents do?
So my dad was, kind of definitely blue collar, worked multiple jobs, worked at a plastics company, on the floor. Eventually kind of worked his way up into kind of, managing products and balancing kind of materials.
Sure.
But also ran a construction company. He was the head umpire for the city baseball league. Like
awesome.
My dad worked so many different jobs, and then he retired really young.
Yeah,
I retired at 55, actually, and since then has worked a ton of other jobs. He still works to this day.
Sure.
My mom worked at Kmart.
Yeah.
Was a stocker retailer at Kmart.
Oh, cool.
And she hung it up at I think around 50 as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the crazy part is like 3 brothers, huge people. My dad's not a small guy.
Yeah.
And we grew up in a 900 square foot house with 1 bathroom.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
like, and guess what? Guess who got the cold shower, Jeff?
Oh.
Chris did. You're showering last
All right.
night.
Well, that lays a good foundation then for the springboard,
for sure,
which is incredible. What did sports look like?
Yeah, I mean, that's where I found like my identity in many ways.
Okay.
Like I wasn't great, and I think I had some learning disabilities when I was a kid, but it was undiagnosed.
Yeah.
But I definitely was not great academically.
Yeah.
And I found success in sports. So I was, every sport I wanted to pour myself into. It was, 4-year varsity and wrestling and played football and did track. I was a pole vaulter. Right. Everything to me revolved around sports.
Yeah.
Like everything. And that was, again, kind of back to that performance mentality of like me trying to get trophies to show my father of my worth. Yeah. Right. Like, look, Dad, like I'm the captain of the varsity team, right? Like, look, Dad, I won this tournament.
Yeah.
And my dad was so proud. I mean, like some of the best moments was like when I would win and like come back to my dad and get that hug,
Oh.
And I had the most amazing supportive mother that anyone could possibly have. I mean, I literally was a mama's boy, right?
Awesome.
Who used to help me, like even help me do my homework.
Yeah.
Right. Because I couldn't do my own homework. I wasn't, like equipped enough for it.
Right.
But yeah, sports it was everything for me when I was a kid.
Yeah. Then college, how'd you make that decision?
Yeah. I mean, it was, I was supposed to go because my brothers went to the military right out of high school.
Okay.
And my dad was in the military. So, the military ecosystem.
What branches were they?
All Army.
All Army?
Yeah, all Army.
Wow.
And my mom was like adamantly against me going to the military because she'd already dealt with 2 boys and both had served in wars. Yeah. And she was like, I can't do this again. You're the baby. I want you to go to college. And that was the route. The route was go to college, even though I didn't feel like I was equipped to go to college because I didn't feel academically I was going to survive. But I felt like I probably could do pretty well if I went to a college and wrestled. Yeah. So we were going on that path. And then there was this like, monkey on your shoulder, if you will, whispering in your ear, right? And as a Christian, I don't know like what that voice was. Yeah. Right. I do believe it was in some ways God kind of calling me to cancel a potential demon, and that was, looking back and saying, if I hadn't went in the military, would I have ever been treated the same as my brothers and my dad who had served? Right. Oh. Wow. So because of that, I listened to it and I was like, I got to do it. Absolutely. I just have to. Yeah. Like it's 4-year commitment. Mm-hmm. I don't know what's to hold. But like, I'll get back to college. I told my mother, I was like, Mom, I can't not be the only brother who doesn't serve. Like, I got to do it. And it was probably the best decision. I mean, truly. Yeah. In hindsight, I wish I probably would have went to college first and then went in, as an officer. Yeah. Because I quickly realized like, I actually was pretty smart because I started to apply myself in the right ways. Right. I started to realize like, hey, I'm as smart as these officers. Yeah. And that's kind of what drove me, further in my career. But yeah, that's kind of what jumped me into that. And then I'll just tell you, like, you fast forward to getting out of the military. And again, now that I've like switched on, I know, hey, like you're actually pretty sharp. Yeah. You can get stuff done. People rely on you, not just for your athleticism. I went to college and got my degree done in 3 years. Right? Like 16, 18-hour classes, worked full-time. Yeah. Got married young. Yeah. My wife was on bed rest my senior year of college for 6 months with our baby. I still got A's. Right. Right. And still survived. Like, I look back and I was like, maybe I wasn't that as dumb or, as like slow as I thought I was. Right. It was just an application thing.
Somewhere
right?
that message was planted in your brain somewhere that you're not enough. But
totally.
What's your alma mater?
Well, NIU was where I went to my undergrad. Okay. And that's a college about 45 minutes north of Chicago.
Okay.
And my wife went to the same school with me.
Yeah.
And then
Incredible.
I wanted to continue my education. I felt like, hey, this is working for me.
Sure.
And I went right into my MBA just after that at Auburn.
MBA Auburn.
Yeah, MBA at Auburn.
How did you meet your wife again? At school or after school?
No, like, man, God's incredible with his stories that he knits together. But my wife was actually going to school at Penn State and happened to be in Savannah, where I was stationed in the military, to see her mother in a sabbatical, like in between semesters.
Okay.
And I happened to bump into her, like through mutual friends. And of course, like, she was raised in, she's Pennsylvania Dutch and Colombian, right? So, big cheekbones, definitely stands out in the crowd.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got married at 21. Literally at the end of my active duty military career, we got married. We were just so emphatically in love with each other that I was like, I just can't live without you.
Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah. And then, the surreal story, and again, like how God knits these stories together, but the surreal story is we elope. Like I was so in love with her that I was like, babe, like, let's just get married.
Yeah.
And the military will pay for housing for me. We just won't tell anybody. And then eventually we'll like get engaged and we'll officially get married, right?
Yeah.
And we thought like that was the plan. Mm-hmm. Well, then God decided like, okay, I have a different plan for you. So first of all, my mother was managing my bank account because I was being deployed a lot and I couldn't take care of my bills. Mm-hmm. So my mom ran my bank account and paid all my bills for me. And my mom noticed, hey, there's an $800 increase in your paycheck. Like, you're not on active duty airborne jump pay. Like, what's going on here? And so we had to drive up on the weekend and surprise my parents. And then my wife's father, Jeff, and it gets worse. My wife's father was a missionary in Honduras, right? And we eloped and didn't tell him. And then not even a month later, after eloping, I get called to my commander's office. And he tells me, hey, Chris, I don't know how this has happened. We've never sent anybody there. But you're going to Honduras on active duty.
No way.
For assignment to help run these DEA missions and support them as one of only 20 Army guys. Right? And oh, by the way, Jeff, it gets one level worse. It's 45 minutes away from your father-in-law. Oh. Right? So like, I mean, that's when you feel like, okay, now there's definitely like,
this isn't me.
This is not me. Like, this is surreal.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
All right. One great story from the military days.
Oh man. So many amazing stories. I mean, like, again, like I don't regret those days at all. And I encourage any, young men, women, they're trying to find who they are. Like, look at me. Like, I found who I was. Mm-hmm. I knew what I wanted to do. Yeah. I knew I was capable of, but probably the one that is the most humbling for me is, I was one of those guys that like, I loved physical fitness. I would max my PT tests. Yeah. I was like, did all the military schools. I thought in many ways I was, like indestructible. Yeah. Right? I really did. And we went on this mission. We came home and back in Honduras, and we were back kind of in what we called hooches, and we were in a hooch. And the military allows you when you're not deployed to have beverages, beers, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And we were celebrating, right? Great time, and all these service members, and we had Navy guys, Navy SEALs there, and Special Forces guys, and everybody's when you have a few beverages and you get a little bit inebriated, which those weren't my finer days in that regards, but you start talking big stories as guys, right? And we're talking a whole lot of smack, and of course, like I was with my buddies, we're talking a lot of smack about some of these Navy SEALs and SF guys to say like, you don't even know what it's like, right? Like you're prima donnas, pretty boys. And it was like 3 a.m., Jeff, right? And we've been drinking since like, I don't know, 8, maybe 7, post-barbecue. So like we weren't in any shape, right? And literally one of the Special Forces guys goes, okay, guys, you think you're that tough? You know that mountain outside of our base? Yeah. Let's go climb that mountain tomorrow morning. And we were like, done. Easy. Done. We're going to run up that mountain. Right? Like, because, again, like, you're talking smack. Like, you think, like, we're just BSing, right? Right. So we get home at like 4 a.m. Jeff, 5:30 a.m. I hear this banging on my door, right? I've been sleeping an hour. I think I'm hearing things, right? Bow, 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 bow.
Yep.
Wake up, Schueler, wake up. So I open the door. Here is all of them fully dressed with gear, ready to go hike the mountain.
I just got that feeling of
Jeff,
1 hour of sleep.
I thought I was dreaming.
Right.
Like,
oh my gosh.
I'm drunk.
Yeah.
I'm still sleepy.
Oh.
And here they are, ready to rock up.
Ready to go.
Right? And like, you know you can't not go.
Right.
Like, you're like,
no
okay. Right? Like, I'm not getting back in bed. I'll never live that down.
Never.
So I was like, all right, give me 20 minutes. So like, you got 10. Okay. Right?
Yeah.
So, and oh, by the way, all my other buddies were doing the same thing I was doing. They were all sleeping.
Oh.
So this is like the biggest humble pill, right? So we get out there, we start hiking up the mountain. Of course, like they're just talking nonstop, right? Because one buddy throws up, another buddy throws up. Like we're dry heaving, sweating. We didn't bring enough water.
What was the weather?
It was. I mean, it's hot, humid.
Yeah.
Like the humidity down there is insane. And we finally make it, right? And of course, like we thought for sure, there's no way, right?
Yeah.
And of course, like, you know, the whole time you're just like regretting every decision. You're like, never again am I going to talk, you know, these stories.
Yeah.
And then the craziest part, Jeff, so all that was insane. Then we get to the top of the mountain and there is a Black Hawk helicopter on top of the mountain, right? And we're thinking, oh, what's going on, right? And then we start walking toward the Black Hawk and like the whole crew's already out of the Black Hawk, like in chairs.
What?
They had loaded up a cooler of beer and food, and we're already setting up a barbecue on top of the mountain just for this team coming in.
Oh my goodness.
Jeff, in an hour, from going to bed to waking us up, they had already orchestrated this whole thing.
Right.
Because they were like, it's game time. So then I realized there's levels to this thing.
Right.
Right? And like, be careful on the levels that you're playing with, because there's levels to this game. But that's the one I always remember. Like, whenever I hear guys talking like smack and stories, it brings me back to like 1997 in Honduras, where I got the biggest humble sandwich of my life.
Right.
And now, like, I always undersell and overdeliver.
Right.
Since that day. Undersell, overdeliver,
so
man.
You're in a barbecue at what, 7 a.m.?
It was like probably 8 a.m. 8 a.m.
First beer of the day, 8 a.m.
Correct.
Oh,
Correct.
That's incredible.
I was still sick. I didn't have a beer. I was just water, hydration. It was like, I just need to survive, man.
I'm so glad I asked that question. I almost glossed over, like not asking you about the military. Oh my goodness. All right, so you get out.
Yeah.
You did 4 years?
Yeah, 4 years active. And I just did another 4 years in the reserves.
Okay.
But got stop loss from 9/11. I had to stay in 4 more years. So 12 years total service.
Wow.
So what I did, like, again, kind of some of the things I did in the military, particularly around like information operations.
Yeah.
That was like one of the key MOSs they wanted to make sure they keep on to.
Yeah.
But yeah, did 12 years total service.
12 total.
Yeah.
Okay. So that last for like during 9/11, I mean, were you?
Yeah, that was,
what did you do?
Yeah, I mean, it was, so, you know, when I got out and went to college is really when I started to lean into like IT in general.
Okay.
And I started to identify like really in 98, 99, that within IT, there's this like information assurance problem, right? Mm-hmm. So think of like risk. Like, how does risk occur in an IT world, right? Well, it's usually around data and access, and there was nobody looking at that stuff at all. And the military was just starting to invest in that, like for its war fighters and such. So I really started to lean into that. And we actually created in 98, 99, we created the first information operation commands in the Army. And it was actually, I give the generals and civilian leaders like all the credit in the world. And most people don't even know this, but they, for the first time, actually leaned into the civilian side of the military and said, you know what, most of our reservists and National Guard people in the private sector are doing these things. we can't ramp up and scale fast enough active duty wise.
Yeah.
Right. And like, you can't sign contracts and bring people in quick enough, especially in the warfighter world. So let's actually lean into our reservists and National Guards that are doing these jobs, and let's create commands for these people.
Yeah.
So that instead of like active duty, 2 weeks a year when you're in the reserve, you have to serve.
Yeah.
Instead of doing that, let's deploy them on weekends throughout the year to active duty installations and overseas to actually help protect and create these protections around both our CONUS networks and OCONUS, particularly warfighter networks.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did literally for all those years in the reserves.
Wow.
I was like working active duty, doing college full time, and then I would literally fly out on a Friday, spend Saturday, Sunday at Fort Bragg or Fort Carson, and just like pen tests, scan, help the IT team remediate, fly back home Sunday night or Monday morning, and go right back to work again.
Incredible.
That was like 98, 99, 2000, right? So it got me really into this industry that's the craze today.
Yeah.
But all because there was a need.
Wow.
I found the need and I started investing myself in it. And then obviously opportunity came with the military investing in us.
And then, awesome. So that last 4 years ended. What was the year? And then did you go to the Pentagon right after that? Yeah.
So that was, another, it was in '02 actually.
Okay,
so
02.
In conjunction with, in this IOC command, an opportunity came up, particularly in the Army, focusing on the Army and the reserves, was they wanted an information assurance leader. So like one person to run the whole program.
Okay.
And I started focusing exclusively on the reserves.
Okay.
Right? Because if we can get this right, it's going to be applicable to everything else. So I started in '02, really being an information assurance program leader. I had a team of like 5 people.
Yeah.
And then fast forward like almost 3 years later actually, had the very first security operations center ever built in the Army, right? Which blueprinted, that was replicated throughout all the Army. Had a team of, like 300 people working for me in just a couple years. And deploying like the first, analytics, if you will, around data to find threats and vulnerabilities and identify truly like hackers coming in to the warfighter networks and the OCONUS, the domestic networks. Incredible. I mean, it's one of those, again, like being in the right place, the right time, but having the right knowledge, right?
That's the big one.
I mean, Jeff, I was 25, right? 24, 25 years old. No one should be listening to me.
Right.
Especially not like an SES-2, which is equivalent to like a 2 or 3 star general in the civilian world, right? They shouldn't be listening to some 20-year-old kid. And I was a kid. Yeah. Right. But they, there's a lot of trust because like things that I said happened. Yeah. Right. There was definitely like technical competence. Yeah. Because I was like this evolution of constantly learning and leaning in and then just, being a guy who gets stuff done. Right. Like, I think they saw that in me and they kind of brought me up and gave me these elevated roles. Yeah. So I was the director of, the very first security operations center for the Army at like 25 years old.
And that was at the Pentagon.
Yeah.
What's it like being in there?
I mean, it was crazy. I mean, a lot of, it's interesting too, because like a lot of the decisions happens in the Pentagon, but all the work happens in Crystal City. Right. So it's like this separation of the two. And then in '03 and '04, we decided that, this is, a lot of it's because of like 9/11 and such, but we decided, we need to create these dark data centers throughout the U.S. So that there's not like an epicenter of like what happened with the World Trade Center when like 40% of the internet went down, right? Because it was in the basement of the World Trade Center, was where MCI was. So we built, actually, that's what got me to Georgia. We built the data center, a dark data center in Peachtree City. So I went from like Pentagon, Crystal City, to all of a sudden living in Peachtree City, building a dark data center and literally creating a security operations center removed from the Pentagon remotely in literally in Peachtree City, Georgia, that nobody knew. Like no signs on a building, right?
Nothing.
Like, nothing. Yeah. You wouldn't even know what was in there.
Gated, I'm guessing. Right?
Oh yeah. Like you wouldn't even know what was in this building.
Wow.
But yeah, it was.
And you lived there?
Lived in Peachtree City.
In Peachtree City.
Yeah, and used to just bounce. I mean, I would It's great living there because you're only 15 minutes to the airport.
Yeah.
But yeah, you bounce back and forth to DC and back to here. And then the Army's intelligence is located in Fort Huachuca, Arizona. So used to bounce to Arizona as well.
Oh my!
But yeah,
is that still here in Peachtree City?
No, not anymore. They moved it.
They moved
it now with cloud and everything else. You don't need like to hug your server all the time.
It's probably somewhere so cool right now. I won't even ask you where because I'm sure we can't talk about it. But okay, so what happens after that then?
So like now I'm kind of like in some ways weaponized.
Yeah.
Right. Running cyber programs. Yeah. And I get this phone call from a recruiter, which I'd never gotten recruited. Yeah. Really.
Like what year are we in here just for?
This is in 05.
Okay. So 05. So cyber's not really on the not out in the world yet. Not
in the mainstream. Commercial.
Okay.
Right.
So
like fintech companies are investing in it. Yep. Military's heavily invested in it.
Okay.
And that's pretty much.
But Joe public doesn't know anything about the word.
Perspective.
Got it.
Like you may know about like phone phreaking back in the days, right? But not. Yeah. This is like right at the entrance of like when the blaster worm and slammer worm and all that shut down email.
Okay.
So I get this phone call from a recruiter, and they're like, "Hey, we know what you do. We know all about your Army career. We're looking for someone like that, and we want someone to come in and build that for us." There's this company called Internet Security Systems, based here in Sandy Springs, and I'd never interacted with the private sector ever, right? So intriguing, but I've been in the military career, my military life, my entire career, right? Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'll at least go for an interview, you know. And in the middle of the interview, they were like, you got to talk to this one guy who like runs the whole managed services. He's gonna love you, and you got to talk to him. So I get this conversation with this guy, Rick Miller, and he's like, "You're my guy." It's literally what he tells me. He's like, "You're my guy. I need what you got. Like, this is the sort of thing we need to build out." And started working for ISS as a director of security operations for ISS, which was like one of the products that we actually used in the military to scan networks. They were known for their vulnerability scanning tool, and they were just building out really how to manage security operations for customers, so outsourcing the security operations. So started doing that in 05, and then literally a year later, IBM swoops in, right, and wants to partner with us, Naive. So I'm presenting about all these things that we're doing with security operations, with our products, and then like all of a sudden they bring me in a room and they're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, like they're not partnering with us; they're actually going to be acquiring us." So then, I become an IBMer, like within the next, 2 or 3 months.
And that's how you got into IBM, was you got acquired.
Yep, that's right.
So now you're an employee of IBM.
Yeah.
And then you're doing what?
That was another like kind of military story where IBM also realized that like we can't innovate fast enough. We need to actually do some reverse integration. So instead of like acquiring and assimilating, let's actually take all of our cyber information assurance assets and give them to this new acquisition that we made, right? So they bought, ISS for a couple $1 billion. Yeah. Super high horsepower company. Yeah. Great leadership, right? Chris Klaus, Tom Noonan, right? Legends in Atlanta that we all know. Yeah. And they leaned into us hard. So I literally overnight, I maybe had 300 people. Yeah. I had 700 people. Like anybody that had anything to do with anything remotely looking like security operations centers all of a sudden worked for me.
And you're 30 probably at the time-ish.
Young. Yeah. 28, 29. Right?
That's awesome.
Yeah. Like, and of course, like at the time, IBM was definitely like older, right? Like,
sure.
A lot of people mid-50s, late 50s. So you're coming in literally as this like, late 20s.
Wow.
Guy who like everybody wants a part of because like security operations now is starting to become mainstream and starting to become a thing that clients want. And all of the, massive IBM clients, they all wanted to have that integrated in their portfolio services. So I went from, flying back and forth to DC or to Arizona and occasionally on the weekends and my reserve days to all of a sudden flying every week around the globe.
Wow.
I think I flew like my first year, I flew maybe 1.5 million miles in the first year of acquisition with IBM. Yeah. And then it just sustained. Like for the next 15 years, I probably flew an average of 1.5 million miles. A year.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Insane. I mean, like there's so many countries I even forgot I've been to.
Yeah, I'll bet.
That my kids are like, oh, like whatever in Manila or Thailand, and I'm like, oh, I was there one time.
Maybe even twice.
Yeah.
There's a word you've used many times: information assurance.
Yeah.
So two things: define it. It sounds like it's a word that came up a long time ago.
Yep.
And then, what does it look like today? Is it still called that, or is it something different?
Yeah. So information assurance essentially is morphed into cybersecurity.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
So the way that we looked at it before was like, how do you protect information? Okay. Which today we would say data.
Like web, you're talking, data.
Yeah, the data itself.
That kind of.
How do you protect the data? Like what's the ecosystem? So one of the things I helped in the military was a thing that we called defense in depth, right? So defense in depth, something that I helped kind of co-author to say like there's layers of protection, right? Like you have cameras outside of your house with motion detection.
Yeah.
You have locks on your doors. Mm-hmm. You have motion inside of your house.
Yeah.
You have a dog, right? You have 2 big huskies, right? And then next to your bed, you probably have your own protection, right? And you also have protocols probably in your house that like, hey, if the alarm goes off in the middle of the night, what do we do, family? Right?
Wow.
So like all of these are like protection levels in defense in depth. Yeah. And that really is what's morphed into cybersecurity, what it is today. And it really is treated the same way.
Yeah.
Like you have all your assets that you own, assets you integrate with. So that really is what cyber really is doing, is creating all those protections.
Yeah.
And then the detections, which are looking for the anomalies, which like if you have your Google Nest or your Ring, right, where they're like, hey, somebody strange came by your house at 2 a.m.
right,
and slowly drove by. Maybe they were scoping out your neighborhood or something.
Yeah.
So those are the sort of things that, we built into defense in depth, and now cybersecurity has taken over as, the thing that we do.
That makes sense. Tell me about some books you've read.
Yeah, so as part of this job, I recently went through this psychometrics, and you guys should look that up if you're listening. Psychometrics. But I was recommended this book because I talked about a cold plunge, right? Of like, I'm waiting to get a cold plunge, and it's part of my kind of discipline routine, and I've heard all the great benefits of it. And I'm a life hacker in general, right? and she said, I have this book for you. And it's not about the physical benefits, it's the mental benefits and the mental awareness that you have with a cold plunge, and you should read it. It's called Dopamine Nation. And I would highly recommend this book to anybody. It's absolutely fascinating. And essentially the summary of the whole book, the punchline of the book is essentially anything you do in excess can be excess dopamine, which is a drag, right? So anything you do. Right? So if you cold plunge too much, right, the benefits of cold plunge can become dopamine, can become negative, right? So it really, what it did to me is it kind of was like this amazing awareness of like, a lot of things that we do that are good, we're going to do them every day.
Yeah.
Well, the problem doing it every day is it doesn't turn into the benefit that you would hope. It actually creates the negative dopamine drag, right? Which then reduces your serotonin, and then it becomes this counteractive thing where it's a beast that you have to feed. Then if you don't feed it, the beast takes over. So the book just impacts that whole thing, and it goes through, she's a psychiatrist, she goes through case by case by case. Mm-hmm. But again, like my biggest takeaway was like, I'm an extreme guy. Like I do one thing and I do it amazing, and I go like inch wide, mile deep. Yeah. And what that book told me was like, be careful on the mile deep. Don't let it take over, because then it becomes that dopamine drag, and you got to feed the beast. Otherwise, you don't feel.
Is that like a physical? You're saying a physical drag?
Physical. No, mental. More mental.
Okay, mental. Okay,
yeah, it's like the whole book is on the mental side. Uh-huh. So it starts with everything. Like it's case by case studies of people who have addictions and how to solve the addiction problem.
It's incredible.
But then it backs out into the cold plunge craze. Yeah. Right. Where like you read Huberman, and Huberman's an amazing bio scientist. And really, like, between him and Peter Attia are my two sources of all things lifestyle related and health and longevity. But he even says, like, you only need to cold plunge like 3 days a week. That's it. 3 days a week for like 3 to 5 minutes. So all you need to do. Not every day, right? Yeah. Because again, it's not the physical benefits anymore. It's the mental benefits. Now all of a sudden, if you're only doing it for the mental benefits, it's feeding that dopamine, which is then has that negative drag throughout the day. So yeah,
Wow.
Dopamine Nation, highly recommend it. Audible. It's the way that I read all my books
I'll
now.
be ordering that one today.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Wow. Okay. Incredible. Just looking back at your life, not necessarily professionally, not necessarily personal, it can cover the two.
Yeah.
Is there a turning point that you can look at?
Yeah, I would say like, the turning point in my entire life was 25. My wife had went through multiple miscarriages, finally got pregnant. We're good. The bump's coming.
Yeah.
Right. I'm still in college, but like, things are great. Right. Like she finished her degree. She's starting to work. She was a teacher.
Yeah.
6 months pregnant. Things are still looking good. And then in the middle of the night, water broke and we're rushing to the hospital. We have really no family was around us. Don't know what's going on. And, fast forward, we give birth. Our daughter doesn't make it through the first day. And that was the most, lowest part of my entire life that maybe brings emotions even now to this day. Cause I remember the moment in the room, like holding your baby and you've been waiting for a baby and you finally get the baby and the baby's not gonna make it. Right.
Yeah.
And we had this most beautiful baptism for her, but, and I was a seeker at the time. I wasn't a Christian. But I walked out of the room and we had been going to a church and mostly my wife wanted us to go to this church. Yeah. And man, God had the pastor sitting outside of our room waiting for me. Mm-hmm. I mean, I walk out of the room and I'm like, imagine like up to this point, everything in my life, Jeff, I've controlled.
Everything.
I've controlled everything. Mm-hmm. Like I want to be the best athlete. I want to be the best in the military. I was. And in that moment, like the lowest of low was like, I control nothing. I can't even take care of my daughter, So it was this lowest moment for me in my entire life. And then here's my pastor sitting there and just like that shoulder to lean on. Uh-huh. And at that moment, like literally it changed everything in my whole life. Cause like I realized I couldn't control it. I realized, my faith is everything. Jesus is everything. Yeah. And from that point forward, like, I think it's like everything in my life started to kind of come in balance. Yeah. Because I knew like, you're not really in control. Stop trying to control, right? Wow. And your motivations are not aligned with like the motivations that really are aligned with where your faith is. Right. And just literally I look back I'm 48, so 22 years later, and I can see that moment in that room. And I see like the calling that God had on me my whole life, from Honduras to my wife, bringing me there in that room, with my daughter. So it was, I recently, I've been wanting to get a tattoo for 20 plus years, but I've never gotten it. I finally in this transition decided I'm doing it. And it's to celebrate my family, but I got a halo put on to remind me of my first daughter, Kristen. And fast forward a year later and I had my first girl, Bella. Oh. Right? So like 1 year later, but right. Yeah, that was to make it, not make it too serious, but like that was the moment, man, that, I look back and I'm like, God, like you stamped your approval on me at that moment and said, now you're mine. Yeah. Right? Now I know you're going to listen to me. Yeah. And since that point, like I see him in everything I do. Even at this job, I see this, like it was perfectly created. Yeah. Just for me to step into a titan, a giant, a shark's shoes, It's incredible. Like never in a million years would I have thought like I'd be in this position, but God's put me here, man. It's incredible.
Wow. Well, what a story. Whew. Well, is there any one or several things you'd say that like really shaped you into who you are today?
Yeah. I mean, I think the discipline that I learned like in sports and not being good at something like school. Yeah. Right. Like that first semester in college. Yeah. Like I wanted to quit. Yeah. Me too. Like I wanted to quit. Like it was hard. I'm like getting tutored. I'm like this, I don't get this. Yeah. Like I didn't want to do it. Mm-hmm. I would say discipline has been an anchor to me. Like I've never been the guy that like closes the bar down, goes to client dinners and like wants to celebrate, or I've always been like the discipline, like, no, I got to wake up tomorrow morning.
Right.
I got to work out. I got to be my best. Because, like our bodies, like it's a temple, man. Like you got to take care of it. Otherwise it's going to fail. Yeah. And we rely on it, especially when you travel so much. Yeah. You can't afford to get sick. So I would say discipline is that one. And then the humility side of it, I'll just tell you, and shout out to my beautiful bride, because like she's the one that reinforces it in me. But man, you need someone in your life that is going to call your BS. Yeah. Right? Someone in your life that's going to tell you like, hey, like your perspective on that's not right. And it's someone that you love unconditionally, that you trust their opinion. You may not agree with it. Like there's things that she says and I'm like, I don't agree with you.
Absolutely.
But trust me, like that resonates in your brain. Yeah. And you're like, look, if your better half is telling you that, like you probably should listen. Yeah. Right? So I think those two things for me is like, the discipline is just like allowed me to perform at the level I perform. Yeah. And the flip side is obviously in the having the equilibrium of my wife keeping me kind of balanced the whole time, and keeping me rooted into like who I really am. That's what really shaped me into kind of who I am.
It's incredible. All right, so let's talk a little bit about your discipline routine. What does that look like each day?
Yeah, I mean it's evolved. I mean so much. Yeah. I mean, I used to be just a wake up and grit and just go lift weights. A mutual friend of ours, Bardis. Yeah. Right. When you anointed that again, like knowing people and connecting. Yeah. Remember the question I asked him, I think maybe you had left, but I said like, what would be the one thing that you would do differently if you were my age? And this was years ago. Yeah. And John said two things. He said, get a Peloton, start biking, and get a cardiologist.
Cardiologist. I remember that.
Remember that moment? I bought a Peloton that night. And I went and got a calcium scan, a cardiologist, et cetera, right? So that's always been like my thing, right? Is like anything I can do to better myself, because I want to be a centenarian. I want to live to 100, but I want to be someone who, like Peter Attia says, like has quality years later in my life. So like be the grandpa that can pick his grandkids up in 80 and jump in the pool and have those quality years, right? Yeah. Great book, I think it's Outlive or Outlast.
No way.
Peter Attia.
Stacy Miller just told us last episode about Outlive.
Incredible.
No way.
Incredible. But a lot of the things that he does, so like that's part of my discipline, right? So it's like diet, nutrition, exercise, getting all the preventative stuff, the body scans for skin cancer, right? Yeah. Like all these things that we know is going to get us. So that's kind of the root, right? So if that's the root of like physical performance, then it's like discipline on the spiritual performance. Yeah. Right. Having the, discipline to do quality time with God, and having the, kind of meditation moments. And then I think discipline in work, right? Which is, again, one of my strengths, I think, at work is, I'm always fairly a cool head to every conversation. Yeah. It's very difficult. In fact, because I've been in the military, I can say this, but I always tell people when they get excited, I'm like, hey guys, it could be a whole lot worse. People could be shooting at us right now. Right? So like let's take it in perspective. Like this isn't the end of the world. Yeah. Like calm down. It's okay. Let's think about this from a different perspective. And I think that's also discipline, right? Yeah. Is like knowing when to like really use two ears versus when to like fill the room with your voice. That takes discipline. Right? Of knowing like, hey, I got the answer, but like I need my team to find the answer themselves. Yeah. Because if I just give them the answer, it's just going to create that back to dopamination, that fix for them that they don't need to problem solve on their own. Right. So to me, it's like, I talk a lot about discipline really because it's a whole ecosystem that like you have to live and breathe it. Yeah. And you have to hold yourself accountable to it. Yeah. But like I really do truly believe, and I get bracelets for a lot of my companies that always talks about like just 1% every day, right? Is like, because a lot of times like you could be negative yesterday, but if you just get 1% that day, you can control that, right? So if you're disciplined and just saying, I'm going to be a little bit better to be like my kids, right? Yesterday wasn't a great day, but today, like I want to spend quality time with my girls or one of my daughters and hear a story from them, or I need to be better to my wife, or at work, like, yesterday wasn't a great day, but today will be the day that I turn it around and I make it different. Yeah. So to me, it's like the discipline is really what gets you through. Because there's going to be moments, right, where you can't work out. Sure. Right? And like if you're disciplined, then it's got to be in the back of your head of like, it's okay, but tomorrow I will work out. and you will do it. And then the last thing is, I think for me, it's, I'm very much a man of my word. So like when someone does say something to me and I commit to that, like word is your bond.
Yeah.
Right. So when I say like I'm in, like you got to be in. And that again is like when people aren't in that mindset, they have discipline problems.
Yeah.
Because like you got to say like, no, I committed to that. That is my commitment.
Yeah.
I have the discipline now to make sure that I actually follow through on it.
That's incredible.
So discipline is, I mean, I think Jocko Willink says all the time, like discipline equals freedom.
Yeah.
But I think when you live it, it's not necessarily freedom to like do whatever you want.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's freedom because you don't have those regrets. You don't have those things eaten in the back of your head of like, I'm not good enough. Yeah. Or like, I wanted to work out, but I just can't work out. And you think less of yourself.
Yeah.
Because I think this world just tries to beat people down all the time.
Sure.
Right? Like that's just the world's created to like make people feel less of themselves. And I think like people need to believe in themselves first. I think before you can love your wife, your kids, like you got to love yourself.
Yeah.
You got to look in the mirror and be like, no, I love who you are. Like we're not great today because of whatever reasons, but we can be great tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then to me, it's just like discipline gets me there. It's like my root.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Special. All right. So I want to end. I want to end talking about what this next new chapter looks like. This is just so encouraging.
Yeah.
Before we do though,
Sure.
I do just want to say this. I could see now why a guy like Robert, like in hearing your entire story, going through this interview, I could see why he goes, "You're my guy." Because now I see the character resemblance. And I've always said this. He was always my favorite shark. Always my favorite shark. He's a compliment to entrepreneurs in general, to the business world. He's the show that you don't have to be like big tough guy no matter how much money or success you've had. Like his humility comes well through that camera. You don't need to sit in a coffee shop with him for an hour to see that he's the real deal. Yeah. So like when like a guy like that is going to hire a guy like that.
Yeah.
And it's cool now to sit here and do this and like feel it.
Yeah, it's very,
and verify it.
It's very true about him too, because I'll tell you, when I first interviewed with him, it wasn't even an interview. Like Robert literally said, like, "So what do you want to know about my company?" And it was almost surreal to me. It kind of caught me off guard a little bit, right? Because I thought for sure like he'd be kind of grilling me, and but it was more. It was less about like getting to know me. He wanted to know like who I was, what I wanted to know about his company, how I could like, he could see me and I could see myself in the role. Incredible guy. Like I can't wait to really get to know him because board member, founder, investor. And I already can get glimpses of the company and like what he's created, and that's where my mindset is now. Like build on what he's created, and how do I take it to the next level, which is where we all want to get it to. Yeah. Because all the bones are there. Like he's done. I mean, starting from a small practice in Canada to literally like 1,000-person global powerhouse now. With the biggest brands in the world. Yeah. All using their services. Yeah. I mean, absolutely incredible.
What are some of those feelings like like the one word feelings, like afraid, confident, unpack some of those, like going into this. You're getting ready to start this soon.
Yeah. I mean, technically I'm kind of already doing both jobs, right? Because like you're stepping in and it's not like a cold start. Like they want to warm start you. So like, Robert and I are spending a lot of time together at night on videos because he's living in Australia right now with his family. Super gracious in his time, but we're really getting me ramped up. So it's just for me, it's just he says this all the time. He says constant forward momentum, right? Is like one of the things that he says a lot, and I think of that like as I go into Q4, and my chairman tells me just yesterday on the phone, he's like, "Hey Chris, I want to make sure you know this. Like, there's one skipper in your head, but you own Q4." Right? Wow. You start 1 October, Jeff. You run businesses, right? So like, when your chairman says that to you, right? Like, okay, it's time. We got to go. Wow. We got to go. So there is a sense of urgency with me. Yeah. Like a real sense of urgency. Yeah. Yeah. And in culture, right? Like I think Robert knows it. Like I'm going to iterate on his culture.
All right, folks, what an incredible, incredible interview that was. I know for me personally, gosh, I had an idea what to expect, but man, you took it to the next level.
Thanks, Jim.
I appreciate how deep you went into these stories. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
I think I'm going to speak for a lot of people, wish you the best with your next venture.
Thank you.
You really are. You're an interesting human, and you're an incredible human. I'm so glad I got a chance to sit here and interview you. So it's always my hope, my prayer that this lands in the hands of people that are struggling in one of these areas, whether it's discipline, attitude, humility, whatever. And this can just be some light for them, a reminder that no matter what it is you're going through out there, it doesn't matter. You are never, ever, ever alone, although it always feels that way.
That's right.
But you're just not alone. So thanks for taking your time. Really, really appreciate it. And to everybody out there, as always, thanks for joining us. I welcome your feedback. It's been so helpful. It's helped us, number one, rebrand the show, which is the biggest thing. People had a hard time out there finding interesting humans because there's a lot of shows in and around it. So the feedback's helped me rebrand to the Jeff Hopek Show, and also got some great feedback recently on, would you mind, Jeff, sharing in the beginning how you know these people? Because somebody had asked me, they go, do you pay to get them on? And it's been friends and friends of friends. So
that's awesome.
Chris, thank you again. It was really an honor. And a lot of people want to say thank you for your service. I'm sure we'll see it in the comments, but thank you for your service too.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for watching The Jeff Hopek Show. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on all socials.